Now, the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, has begun the implementation of the price floor for the downstream petroleum sector as outlined in the amended Petroleum Products Pricing Guidelines. The regulator postponed the rollout to the second pricing window of April to engage stakeholders following opposition by industry players, including energy think tank like Africa's Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. Now, Daniel Sakite has the details.
For many industry players, such as energy think tanks in the downstream petroleum sector, implementing the price floor in a deregulated market is flawed. The National Petroleum Authority, in a letter to industry players, announced the rollout of the amended Petroleum Products Pricing Guidelines effective April 1, 2024. However, aspects such as the price floor for oil marketing companies and LPG marketing companies have generated controversy from stakeholders. Policy lead for petroleum and conventional energy with the African Center for Energy Policy, Kojo Yauche, tells Citi Business News that this development will not benefit consumers. He says his outfit will keep a keen eye on the implementation of the price floor, which is pegged at 13 cedis 2 pesos and 13 cedis 7 pesos for petrol and diesel respectively for the second pricing window in April.
The point we are making is that cost management is not a responsibility of the regulator. What the regulator should be interested in is, one, that the product is available, that we don't have shortages, where people are going to be queuing for petroleum products. Two, the products that come into the market should be of high quality, should pass all the quality standards, that you don't damage people's cars and all of it. And then the third one that the regulator should be concerned about is those anti-competitive behavior, right? Where people bring in substandard products and because it's cheaper, they undercut. You should zone in on those particular OMCs, right? And deal with them and sanction them because you have the power to do that. Not a blanket and wholesale price determination for the market. It's an iterative process. We'll continue monitoring it. If the fears that we had are not materialized, we'll give it a more longer time to see.
Citi News visits to some OMCs in the capital revealed general levels of compliance for the second pricing window in April, as some OMCs, which usually had lower prices compared to lead players such as Guel and Total Energies, were complying with the directive. Some facility managers who refused to speak on camera told Citi Business News that they were minded by development in the downstream petroleum sector. The National Petroleum Authority has meanwhile justified the need for the amended Petroleum Products Pricing Guidelines, particularly aspects related to the price floor. Head of Economic Regulations with the National Petroleum Authority, Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti, in a Citi Business News interview said the regulator ought to ensure fair competition and deal with challenges such as price undercutting by some OMCs. He indicated that the NPA will intensify efforts to ensure compliance and will not hesitate to crack the whip on OMCs which flout the directives in the amended Petroleum Products Pricing Guidelines.
So far, the window just started today and we are now monitoring. We've received the prices from the companies for this window. The price that we received from the companies already, we published the price floor on the 12th of April for them to know what the price floor for this window will be. So far, we haven't seen any company selling below the price floor yet. But it's very early days also in the enforcement of this regulation. So we'll continue to monitor and then see whether they are complying or not. The guidelines comes with sanctions. So there are sanctions that are penalties in terms of monetary penalties. And there could be other penalties we can impose. So, for example, the first time, the penalties that we have, we caution you. And if you still continue to do that as an OMC, or stations are still doing that, because the OMC is supposed to ensure that its stations are compliant. So we see that your stations are still not compliant, then there is a monetary penalty. There could be other sanctions that NPA could apply, because if the station is consistently not complying with guidelines, as a regulator, we have every power to ensure that they are brought into line.
Meanwhile, some OMCs have begun increasing fuel prices in the second pricing window of April. State-owned Guel, for instance, is selling a litre of petrol at 14 cedis 99 pesos from the previous 14 cedis 15 pesos, while a litre of diesel is also selling at 14 cedis 80 pesos from the previous 14 cedis 74 pesos in the first pricing window of April. The development comes at a time when some drivers have begun increasing transport fares, while the government is urging the police to deal with such drivers.
The National Petroleum Authority says it is early days yet to make a determination on the rate of compliance with the set price floor contained in the petroleum products pricing guidelines. It, however, says it will continuously monitor the downstream petroleum sector to ensure that total compliance is achieved. For CNL Business, my name is Daniel Sakiti.